that the ODM party, the UDA party, Martha Karua's party, the Wiper party, the Jubilee party, and recently the DCP party are not interested in helping the young people. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. This is James Mulamba, a revolutionary. I have been a solid critic of this government and the governments that have come before this one. I have been an activist for a long time, and I am solidly behind the Gen Z cause, and I have not been bought like the rest of them have been. I have been an activist or a fighter for change for close to 7 years now. In the 7 years, I have joined myself to court cases and petitions that have sought to change how governance is done in this country and to give a restitution to the people of Kenya for the crimes that have been committed against them by those that are in government. Today, I come to you with a heavy heart because I need to get some things off my chest. Because as it is, the Gen Z movement is not as solid as it was 1 year ago. We are not as enthusiastic, passionate, zealous, focused, visionary, and determined as we were 1 year ago. This is not without cause. We have been sold out by people you entrusted with leadership. We have been stabbed on the back several times. We have every motivation to give up. The government has countered us with propaganda, and we have been abducted, shot, and detained without trial since last year to this very day. I would understand why the young people today feel that they do not have the same spirit and the same zeal to fight for better governance, accountability, and better leadership, just as they held true 1 year ago. 1 year ago, the Kenyan youth were very determined, and they were very keen on fighting for better leadership in this country. And they had the zeal to protest, and they had the zeal to call to account their leaders and those in positions of power. But this passion has slowly subsided over time. You could attribute this to the co-opting of Raila Odinga into the ruling regime. You could also fault this to the charlatans and the sellouts we have had in this movement, because they had their followers and they led them to the political grave. We understand all that. But if you are to be candid, do you think we have achieved what we set to achieve? When we came out as Gen Zs, we had agendas. We had issues on the table. We were very interested in ensuring we saw the end of them. What have we achieved 1 year down the line? We are a few weeks from June 25th. What is our track record as Gen Zs? We have forced the president to reshuffle the cabinet several times. We have forced our leaders into behaving politically. We have also set the tone and the mood of the country to fight for better leadership. But in the end, our efforts have been capitalized by others. The first person to capitalize on the efforts of the Gen Zs was the former opposition chief Raila Odinga. The second one was Casper. The third one was Morara. It is also rumored that Anifa and Shakira have also cashed in on the fame and the clout they got from the Gen Z outrage. Is that what we set to achieve? So I am submitting to you that we did not achieve that which we set ourselves to achieve. We've not gotten RUTO out of power. We've not recalled our MPs. We've not ensured accountability. We've not gotten better governance. Our leadership has not changed. We are still overtaxed. And we are on the wrong path. We have still not challenged the Kenyan mentality on tribalism. And we have not won. This war is far from over because we put our trust on the wrong people, and they have systemically and deliberately ensured we do not meet the set targets. There came a man, or should I say a boy, masquerading as a leader, who took his time and he went to great lengths to show you where the former leaders and the sitting leaders have stolen money and how they have funded projects that they never executed. But how did that help us? After all the exposés of the projects that were funded but never executed, what action was taken? Zero. He did not take the culprits to court, and he did not initiate petitions as a way of seeking justice for the Kenyan people who have been cornered, who have been plundered and taken for granted. So I am submitting to you that Morara was a true waste of our time. Pure games, pure gimmicks. If I had the influence he had as from last year to a month ago, I would have drafted petitions. I would have taken to court those that are the very enablers of bad governance and those that have siphoned and plundered our resources. I would not have negotiated with them. So I am telling you that we lost the script a long time ago, and we need to wake up. Tell me why we had to wait for a whole year to protest in June this year. Were there non-contentious issues? Was there an absence of contentious issues we would have demonstrated against? Because we have understood that the language of petitions and court cases takes too long in this country. The Baby Pendo case, for example, took 7 years, and to this very day, she has never gotten justice. In fact, the case was withdrawn. So we understand that the quickest way to get justice in this country is through demonstrations. As costly as demonstrations are, as pricey as they are, because they involve deaths, they involve casualties, and they involve abductions. But as costly as demonstrations are, they have proven to be the quickest means to achieve progress in this country. We have had issues we would have demonstrated on, but you put your trust on the wrong people who successfully managed you psychologically and emotionally and wasted your time and ensured that they have systemically killed the demonstrations and the spirit of fighting for better. The Galana Kulalu scheme happened under our watch in the past 1 year. The government has leased portions of the Galana Kulalu scheme to private investors belonging to UAE. Wasn't that an issue that deserved national attention? Wasn't that an issue that deserved a demonstration? Wasn't that an issue that deserved a petition? I have not seen that happen. So why did we stop demonstrating? And we did not achieve what we set to achieve. This government reintroduced the same finance bill we abrogated in June 2024 through various tax bills in August of 2024. Wasn't that worth demonstrating? But did we demonstrate? No. Because someone was busy showing you where the government has stolen money for a certain stadium, and he did not take any action beyond the exposés. Because the other guy was busy scheming on how to sell you off to the highest bidder. The KDF officers were deployed unconstitutionally to an unsuspecting population that was busy fighting for change in this country. Because I was outside the gates of Parliament on that very day when the KDF officers walked into Parliament, deployed by the then CS for Defense Aden Duale unconstitutionally, because he did not take his time to requisite for permission to deploy the KDF soldiers on the evening of June 25th, before he successfully deployed them on the streets to tackle, to fight, to kill, and to abduct the young people. The KDF officers were used to abduct, and they were given an order to shoot to kill the young people for expressing their dissent against the government, for saying no to a punitive finance bill, and for standing their ground. Yet we did not see this as something that was worth a demonstration. Why? Because we were busy following charlatans and opportunists. And when I cautioned you about this, you did not listen. The Githurai massacre and the Kware massacre was no small ordeal. Why did we not demonstrate about this? There is nothing more sacred than the life of a human being. Yet, innocent citizens were unalived in Githurai, and we did not demonstrate. We did not question. We did not ask. We did not raise a public outcry. Innocent citizens were killed, mutilated, and dumped at the Kware dump site. But we did not demonstrate about this. We did not stand up to this regime and remind them that human life is sacred and that we are not going to condone the targeting and killing of activists, dissenters, and vocal youths. And because we have failed in the past, we cannot continue lamenting about what happened in the past. So we must be willing to rise up and take action. And that is why myself, James Mulamba, considering that we've been leaderless for a long time and we've not had direction for a long time, I am willing to step up. I understand I need the blessings of the Kenyan Gen Zs. That I understand. I cannot appoint myself as leader amongst you all. But I'm submitting myself as a possible mobilizer, as a possible coordinator, and perhaps as a possible leader to this movement that has remained leaderless for too long. I understand. In our leaderlessness, we've managed to dodge so many bullets, and the government has not been able to kill what we've achieved and what we've organized. I understand that. But how long are we going to remain leaderless? And are we really going to achieve what we set to achieve as a leaderless movement that gives a leeway to anyone and everyone who has a suspicious agenda to take up the movement for themselves and purport and pretend to guide us to the right direction. We have been leaderless before. It has had its demerits and its merits. And it has more demerits than merits. One would argue that being leaderless has given us an ample opportunity to prosecute our case against the government, against bad leadership, and to fight impunity without being targeted because we do not have leaders per se. But one would also argue that the absence of leaders, because it doesn't have to be, this movement does not have to be limited to one leader. One would still argue that without leaders, we have not achieved what we said to achieve, because we've not had one voice, we've not had a unilateral sense of direction, and we have paved and opened the way for opportunists to capitalize on our leaderlessness. And they have taken us for granted, they have taken us for a ride, and they have cashed in on our leaderlessness. And this is the biggest demerit to being leaderless. So I am asking Gen Zs out there, are you ready for a leader? It does not have to be me. Are you ready for leaders? If we were to have a committee of leaders, would you support it? And if you were to assume leadership, would you support us? Because we are limited as a leaderless movement. We understand the burden of being, of adopting leaders. We understand they will be targeted. We also understand they could be opportunists. We also understand that having leaders could derail the movement, because some of these so-called leaders have selfish interests that they want to service. So I am asking you, Kenyans and Gen Zs, how full is your bank of trust? I know you are low on trust right now because you've been deceived before and because you've been taken for granted before. But I'm asking you to reconsider the leaderlessness, because successful revolutions and movements in the past and in history have had notable leaders who have championed for their success. It takes a lot to be a leader. I understand. Having leaders could mean that this movement dies, because these leaders could be compromised and these leaders could be bought off. But have you thought of the possibility of young people who are priceless like myself? I do not have a price. I think the only thing that would stop me would be a bullet, not a bag full of money. I have demonstrated my leadership. I have demonstrated my commitment. I have demonstrated I am capable. I have demonstrated my vision and consistency. What more do you look for in a leader? And I am saying and repeating it again, the leader does not have to be me. And we do not need one leader. We may necessarily need several leaders. But do you have even the smallest tinge of trust left in you to trust younger people? I mean, to trust young people to lead and to set the pace for all of us. We have also been partyless for a long time because Morara's party is not registered. And any other Gen Z outfit out there that calls itself a party is merely a name reservation. These outfits are not registered. They are in the process of registration, but they are not registered. because the process of registration is a long and a tedious process that takes at least 1 or 2 years. As the partylessness worked for us, I was among the first people who are very vocal about the need to be partylessness. To be partyless. And this is because I had the solitary conviction, the sole conviction, that having parties at this point would only derail us from the movement, and it would slow us down. Because I understood that the ODM party, the UDA party, Martha Karua's party, the Wiper party, the Jubilee party, and recently the DCP party are not interested in helping the young people.